Good morning. Today I wanted to show you a little bit about setting up and activating a crystal grid. There were some of you who were curious on the setup and the activation, so this is for you. First of all, I want to say that setting up a crystal grid, there is no right or wrong way to do it. I usually use just my intuition and purely set it up on what feels right for me. I don't typically go by the rules when I set up my crystal grids. I prefer to just do what feels right for the moment, just as I did with this one. Last night I made this one for the summer solstice. It's a love and abundance grid. And I had some of it in mind, like the spray of quartz points at the head, but the rest of it I just chose, and I had to try this stone and that stone until it felt right, and this was the end result. But I'll tell you, before I even start placing crystals on a crystal grid, I always cleanse the area. And I have my little bowl here with my Palo Santo, my sage, and my dragon's blood. And I saged, when I didn't sage the area, I smudged the area with Palo Santo. And then I filled that in with the dragon's blood, and I said some prayers. And then I found this amazing image last night online, so I decided to make that the base for my grid. So I set that down and I just started to place the crystals. This is a citrine here. These are just quartz points. I have some more quartz points: bloodstone, rose quartz, orange calcite, amethyst, petersite, pyrite, and this nice chunk of black tourmaline as the base and the energetic center of this crystal grid. I just placed them all intuitively, like I said, just what felt right for me. I did have to move a few around, try this and try that, and this is the end result. So don't be hard on yourself, about whether you're doing it the right way or the wrong way. The important thing is to just do what feels right. Make sure you've cleansed the area, and prepared your space, and place your grid somewhere where it's not going to be disrupted for a while. This is a table I have in my room right in front of a nice window, so it gets sunlight during the day and moonlight at night, to help it sort of stay charged. And this is one of my favorite areas to place a grid, where my children won't necessarily disrupt it. But then when it comes to activating a crystal grid, you can use a point, you can use your finger, you can use a stick. Really, you can use just about anything you want, because it's about intention. Activating a crystal grid is intentionally activating the energetic lines of a crystal grid so that you can charge it with certain intentions, and that it flows the way that you want it to, and the way that they need to in order of how the stones are placed. So for this one in particular, I have this crystal point that I got pretty recently actually, and I felt very much like when I received this crystal that it was going to be for my energy work. So I used this one for the first time last night to activate this grid, which I already felt immensely, the energy coming off this grid before I even activated it. But I decided to go ahead and give it a little boost. And basically how you do that is you start with the center of the grid. And now when I say center of the grid, I don't necessarily mean the middle of the grid. Now, in a lot of grids, you do normally have a central point, and then you have your stones coming off of it. That's how a lot of people do it. And so in that case, you would start with the center and work your way out. But for this particular one, the energy base is from the bottom, and it kind of goes up like this. So how I activated this grid is I started with my intentions. I said a little prayer, and sort of visualized the things I wanted to infuse energetically into this grid. And then I simply followed those lines from the base to the top. And I followed each one of these points one at a time, intentionally infusing exactly what I envisioned for this grid, one at a time. And then from the heart center, I came down just a bit from the center. And then along the bottom here, I felt very much like the energy sort of swirled at the base. So I went from the bottom, I created a swirl, and I went closer and closer to the center. And then I brought it up, and then that was it. And now your grid is activated. So if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I'll be happy to help you the best I can. But have a beautiful Monday. Much love and crystal blessings.